Hi, well, I'm here today to talk to you about the open source movement. I mean, what exactly is the open source movement? Well, it's a lot of source code, there's a lot of people, programmers, releasing their ways, telling you how to program, explaining the basics to you, the advanced stuff, everything. We take it to all levels, we take it to as low as they can possibly take it, and showing you along the way, their way down. Now, it's like, take Linux for example, that's a operating system of operation whereby the computer is manipulated, the processor, by a series of command lines what got inserted into the RAM, and pointed to by the BP pointer, the IP pointer, and so on and so forth. And that just executes down and down and down, then up again, then down and down, and up again, down and down, and it goes in a loop, you know. Now there's a process manager in Linux, a kernel, a GUI, if you so wish to use the GUI. I don't believe in it. I prefer the command line. I just hold Control F1, get straight to the GUI. At the GUI. GUI's on F6 or F5, is it? I can't remember, I never use it. I just go to F1, you know. So anyway, what is open source? It's like, well, Linux is open source, or Linux, however you wish to pronounce it. Pronunciation is very important to some people, not to me. I like to call it Linux sometimes, other times I call it Linux. Just the way I feel at the time. Or it depends who I'm talking to. If they're a script kiddie, I'll tend to use Linux, because that's what they know in their head, But if it's an educated person, I'll tend to use Linux, because Linux is how you pronounce it properly, how programmers pronounce the operating system. Well, what else can I say about the open source movement? Now you see, Linux is here to teach us the basics of operating system development. Now there are books out there. There's one by Tannenbaum who I'd recommend called Design and Implementation of Operating Systems. Excuse me, I had a bit of sick coming to my mouth then. Wasn't very pleasant, no. Right, but Operating Systems, Design and Implementation by something like R.S. Tannenbaum or S. Tannenbaum. It's a very good book. I own it. I own the third edition or something where it's Linux 3 is on it. It's a really good book. It details how an operating system works, from how to deal with such things as like race conditions and other such things. But like, it's got a process manager, it's got a kernel, it's got other things. Bootloader. What else does an operating system need? It's your idea, tell me. I will program it. It's a good thing. That's what operating system design is about. Programming your own operating system. Now I'm at the stage where I've just written a bootloader and I'm documenting my progress on YouTube. Now it's only just taken me 20 years to get this bootloader working, because over the years it went from 8-bit assembler to fucking 16-bit assembler, then to 32-bit assembler. Now I've had to modify my knowledge over the years with this assembly language, because I'm only touching on it and then working on other projects. Then as the years go by, it's now 64-bit assembler, so my knowledge is outdated yet again. I'm going to have to get a book on 64-bit assembler, freshen up, Now I've also learned C in the meantime. C is a very good language to write an operating system in. I would recommend learning C. It's getting outmoded, getting put in the past, put behind you. C++ or C# maybe. C++, C, assembler. These are the tools you use to write operating systems. Now Linux has got a lot of equipment what already comes with Linux, such as the sleep command. But like a lot of tools with Linux to help you write your own operating system, such as MKISOFS, Make ISO File System. That's a good tool to get a live CD running of your kernel, of your bootloader. You know, I'm at the stage where I've written a bootloader, but now I've got the system booting. Now I need to know how to hand over to a kernel, or as Linux or Minix would handle it, init RD. Init. It needs to hand over to init to initialize the system. Well, that's what open source is about. It's about learning. It's about knowledge. You see, back in the 90s and the 80s, a phrase was coined saying knowledge is power. And knowledge is power. The more knowledge you gain, the more powerful you become with the computer. It's not about hacking. It's about being creative. Using that creativity to overcome obstacles. And that is hacking in a sense. Being creative. Thinking out the box. Overcoming obstacles. So, just take those thoughts with you of open source development. What the open source movement means to you. What it means to me is I've got a hell of a lot of resource available to learn from and to build my own projects, my own desires. Anything what comes into my head, I can realise with the help of the open source movement. Then I can share my work with others via a GPL license or a MIT license. As long as I get credited, I'm happy. That's what open source means to me.